Ms.Bern Nadette Stanis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. So to start this interview off, what do you say to those people who keep trying and trying to become an actor or a writer? How do you think they can succeed, and what kind of advice do you give them to succeed in the industry?
Well, if you want to be an actor, a lot of people think that it's very easy, but it is a skill, and it's something that you should learn. And I think that you need to take acting classes also, and how acting works, the whole mechanics of it, the types of acting you want to do. And so I would say make sure that you're very well schooled before you jump into becoming an actor.
Yeah. So, you before becoming famous by landing your role on Good Times as Thelma Evans, what do you think was like the worst experience or the biggest struggle you had living in the ghetto?
On the show?
Yeah, like you also said like your family, they came from they also lived in a very
Yes.
yeah.
In Brownsville. Well, what I learned about the ghetto was that what I learned about living in the projects was this. Well, my mom and dad taught us to be determined. Education, that was what my father preached to us. You will succeed. It was no option. You had to.
Yeah.
And of course, we did not do any drugs or alcohol or anything like that. So we were destined to be successful because we were raised that way. And my father always said, what's around you does not have to be in you. So you may live around something that is not, very nice or very good for you or whatever, but it doesn't have to be a part of you, even though you're around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and how did you get the role of Thelma Evans?
I was in a beauty pageant, and there was a manager who came up to my mother and actually picked me and said, your daughter looks like she would fit this part so perfectly. So we were someone really came to us.
Oh.
And gave us a card, and my mom called, and we went to the audition, and that's how I got it.
Yeah, wow, that was just like it happened, just
Like a blessing,
yeah. What was the best advice that Norman Lear gave you about life or even the industry while you were working there?
Well, it was nothing that he gave me. He never said anything about life or the industry, but I observed him, and watching him, I learned a lot.
Oh.
He was a very, very wise man. He was a very shrewd man. He didn't take any stuff, but he was funny. He was always understanding. He's just a great guy all the way around.
Yeah.
I saw that in him. I learned that in the business you have to be well-rounded. You have to be you have to have a lot of sense of humor. You have to be wise. You have to know the business, and you have to be fair. And he was all of those things, and I just so appreciate that I was able to, at a young age, watch a master like him.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched all his I watched all his shows like, Maude, The Jeffersons, Good Times. Yeah, I've watched like all the episodes of that. And also Sanford and Son, Red Fox, and all that.
Wow.
Yeah. Really.
And you see how he was a type of a producer that liked human stuff, the real deal, like what people really go through.
Yeah, like a lot of controversies he addressed and all that. That was just like there was no one like him at the in those days who would do that kind of stuff that he did. And
right, he was like he broke through. Yeah, he did things that was very controversial.
Yeah. So now Good Times evidently was popular as most of Norman Lear's shows. It took on controversial topics and it showed the struggle of an American family, not just an African American family, it was an American family. What was your favorite episode of the show?
There were so many. Of course, I liked the ones that I was in. Yeah, I liked the one when I was supposed to get married to the African prince. Remember?
Oh yeah, I watched that. Yeah.
Yeah, eBay.
Yeah.
I liked that one because it was a two-parter. I had 2 weeks, and that was a great one. I liked when I got married to Keith. That was
yeah. Where is he anyway?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I think he got out of the business. I think he went back to Canada because he's Canadian.
Oh.
And, yeah, so he just got out of the business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so go on.
Yeah, so that was the shows that I enjoyed. But, of course, there were so many wonderful shows, even that didn't necessarily feature me, but it was the one with Penny, with the abuse.
Yeah.
You know, it talked about that,
Yeah, that was one of my favorite.
Yeah, it talked about drugs, and JJ had the girlfriend who went to the prom, and she was a drug addict, and it talked about VD and pregnancy.
Yeah, when JJ had VD, and then turns out he never had VD, and then
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What was your relationship like with Jimmie Walker and the entire cast, including John Amos? Like, also, was Jimmie Walker in reality much like his character, a person who would always crack jokes, or was he like more serious and kind of just, grounded in that?
Well, Jimmie was actually his character is his alter ego, because he was nothing like that. He was very quiet, very rarely spoke. He was a night owl because he did his comedy all night long. So he was always quiet in the morning.
Yeah. So was there anything that the cast taught you about acting other than Norman Lear? The cast,
yes. Working with Esther Rolle, who was a pro.
Yeah, like Maud and everything.
Yes. I learned a lot from her, and she taught us about being on time and knowing all of your lines and being professional on the set. So I learned a lot from her.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorite characters was also Janet DuBois on the show. She played
neighbor.
Yeah.
Yes, she was also very, very talented.
Yeah. And so working on Good Times, like how much independence did the cast have, like to suggest to Norman Lear that they'd like to do this or do that, or like if you were doing a reading session and if you didn't like something, would he give you the independence to change it?
Yes, he would. I mean, he would listen to our suggestions, and if it fit for the story, then he would change it.
Oh, and
yes, he would. And then of course, Esther, the show was originally supposed to be done without a father, and Esther Rolle said that she wanted to have a husband and a father in the show, and Norman said, of course.
Yeah, and there's like a quote which one of the writers of Good Times, Eric Monty, said, and I'd like your opinion on it. And he said, the quote, start quote, working on Good Times was real hard. All the white writers wanted to do stereotypes and I refused. Every week we'd argue and fight. They would ignore what I suggested and take all that yes boss stuff to the cast. Of John Amos and Esther Rolle would have a fit. Then they'd give me what I wrote and the cast would like it, and then they'd shoot it and it would go on air. The next week it was the same fight. Originally I pictured JJ as a street smart hustler who drove his honest parents crazy. Norman Lear considered my work too controversial. I pitched Good Times in 1971. It didn't go on air until 1974. In those 3 years, we had 20 meetings. The one note I got in every meeting was get rid of the father. A strong black man in a sitcom won't work. How do you respond to that?
Well, they fought and they got him in there. But, a lot of people had stereotypes about a black family minority family until Good Times came to pass. I mean, when Good Times came, a lot of people realized that human nature supersedes color, and that we all are humans, whether we're rich or poor, and whether we're black or white.
Yeah.
You have the same basic needs and concerns and love for our children, and respect for our parents. So no matter what color you are, you still have those basic, human foundations.
Yeah. And Janet Jackson did an outstanding performance as playing the role of Penny Woods on the show, and one of my favorite episodes, along with Black Jesus, was the Evans Get Involved. It was a very long episode, had many parts, and how was the cast's relationship with Janet Jackson on screen and off screen? And did you ever think that she would evolve into such a major superstar and, be so big as she is today and have a new world tour coming up, and all that?
Yes. Well, we knew that she was part of the Jackson family.
Yeah.
And we all respected the Jacksons because, of course, they were renowned, well, world known. And we were just so excited to have her part of the cast. And Norman has said on many occasions that it wasn't just because she was a Jackson that he cast her in that part. He cast her in that part because she was a good actress.
Yeah. And how did personally, Michael Jackson's death affect you? While Janet Jackson was on the show, I think assuming that the brothers would be watching her backstage, and what was your first reaction when you heard about it?
Oh, I was hurt, shocked, and everything, because we grew to know them. I knew them quite well, and I knew Michael. I knew all of them. So to hear that was so hurtful, so shocking. And I'm very close to Mrs. Jackson, and so,
Yeah.
it really, really hurt me for her. And it was just devastating.
Yeah, I remember when I was sitting watching, it was 4 o'clock. I know it happened way, about 3 hours before that, and I was watching Oprah at the time, and then suddenly breaking news came, and then it was all Michael Jackson, and then, news reporters and everything, and it was all, bizarre on that day. And,
Yeah.
And,
it was crazy on that day because nobody could believe that a superstar like that would be dead,
Yeah. And then he had a tour coming up, at England tour. This is it. Yeah.
Yes. Everybody is waiting for the tour.
Yeah. Did you have tickets?
No, I didn't, but I'm sure I would have gotten in.
Yeah. Yeah. So I personally think, and I was telling my audience this past couple of weeks ago, and TV is a main influence in kids' decisions and how they act and with TV, kids choose role models, who they want to be like, and now these days there are shows like, Jersey Shore, The Kardashians, and all those shows which, teach kids to behave like, quote unquote sluts, and and they think it's okay, but Good Times, that, those shows, they show groundings and how children should act, and what's your opinion on that, your comment?
Oh, I am so 100% with you on that Good Times did show a lot of children how to behave, and it spoke about a lot of things, and a lot of people say that they were raised on Good Times, and that their parents were working, and that they would look at Good Times and it would be like a family. And that really warms my heart when I hear things like that. New shows that are out today, it's all about, making money and trying to, be a star or whatever that is and stuff. It's not like it used to be where you had real quality television.
Yeah. So do you ever think that you try to work on getting